Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
Dallas had another hemorrhoid flare up this morning. Really tough situation. So he won't be joining us from the St. Louis, Missouri. The A's flew in last night. And as you know, as Dallas tends to do, I was explaining this to Jayhay before we came on the show, but Dallas has a way of convincing people of things that didn't happen. And last night he texted me and yeah, gaslighting is it's exactly what it is. He's like, so you got that dinner reservation, right? And I was like, what dinner for when we're in town? You know, you got the reservations, right? I was like, I don't think we discussed this, but I'm happy to make some dinner reservations. So, but I'm excited because, you know, I think when Dallas comes to town, I'm sure he knows a lot of people in Boston, and the fact that he has chosen to spend that time with me and my family on that one off night, because there's an off night before a 3-game series at Fenway. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series, and that Wednesday is Section 10 night at Fenway. And then that Thursday, are we still planning on, I think it'd be really cool if we went to, I know it might suck for you, Jayhay, but if we went to Fenway Thursday morning and did the podcast from like the A's broadcast booth, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can be where I need to be. So I know we're doing the stuff Wednesday, but yeah, if we want to do Thursday morning record, I think that would be sick if we can get access there, and I'm definitely down to do that. You know, you brought up the dinner thing. I'm sure a lot of listeners have wondered over the years, like, you know, Dallas, the ex-ball player, when he's in town or when all of these people are in the same space, you know, does he hang out with the other guys? You know what I mean? Or does he, you know, kind of big league everybody? And the answer is he big leagues us. But
he does.
Sometimes he carves out some dinner time. So that's nice that he's done that for this coming trip.
I think you're being too nice. It's not that he big leagues us. He finagles free meals for him and his family. That's what he does. He lined up a free meal for himself is what he did, which is smart. I mean, I respect the game, respect the hustle, and I'm happy to accommodate. But I think Kowloon is certainly on the table. There's going to be a few different options, places that I would like to take him to. I think it depends largely if his family is going to be there, because I don't know what do his kids like to eat. Maybe I cater to them and what they want to eat. Maybe we go to McDonald's. I don't know. It's like, oh, sorry, I made reservations.
Yeah, no, you and I had talked.
My choice.
Yeah, you and I had talked before we hit record about whether I was going to come up and join, and I said I'd love to. If you do decide on McDonald's, just give me a heads up, because I just won't come.
Okay. That's fine. So, or maybe like we go to McDonald's with Dallas's family, but then you and I go to like a nice steakhouse after.
Yeah, we drop them off and we'll be like, oh, we'll pick you guys up on the way back.
Right. We discussed this yesterday, and I also mentioned it to Tolle.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks that it's September and we're kind of just like getting this idea going, but I would love to do an MLB version of RedZone. Where it's Jayhay, the McMahon, and me, and we use playback for Tied in the Eighth. Tied in the Eighth, for anyone that doesn't know, any Baseball is Dead listeners that don't know, when the Red Sox game is tied in the eighth or it becomes tied in the eighth, we just live stream. And playback is a platform that we use where we can all see the same screen, so it's not like people are just watching their TVs at home and we're all watching, like we're all on different parts of the game. You're all watching the same screen, and we can do it remotely. So we would do that for Tied in the Eighth. But there was one night where we did Tied in the Eighth, but me and Tolle just kind of like stayed on, and we hopped around to different games. And I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know. I thought that you just like selected one game. But so if you have MLB TV, you log into playback with your MLB TV account. I know this sounds like an ad, but I'm really just like explaining how it works because I think it's cool. You log in with your MLB TV account, and then you can watch games with us. And it was really cool. People were really into it when me and Tolle did it. I was like, I was like, what you guys are watching tonight is more or less what a me and Coley FaceTime sounds like and looks like. We just will like watch a game and just randomly talk about, like, oh, it's like, what is the deal with like Honus Wagner? Like, was he really that good? And just like going to like his stats. So it's kind of like I want to do like not just like, hey, we're watching Dodgers Padres tonight, but we hop around to games that are interesting to us, but we may not even be talking about the game that we're watching. Yeah, that we're watching. We're just going to talk ball. And I don't know that it'll be a specific night every week because the Nesson schedule for me, it's different all the time. Like sometimes it's Tuesday, sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's like I never know what night of the week it's going to be. So I can't commit to a specific night of the week. Yeah. But I think I can commit to one night a week to be able to do that. But yeah, I said, when me and Coley were doing it, the one thing that this is missing is Jayhay. Like if Jayhay were able to add his commentary and his insight and his ability to research and provide statistical context, I think that we have something here. So I don't know what we're calling it. Maybe we're not calling it anything at all just yet. Maybe we're just getting on there and doing the performing the concept that we talked about. But I think it would be pretty cool, and I think fans would be into it. And it's I think it's something we might try to kickstart this week. Like there's no like production cost or anything. We just go on a playback. No, you and I only texted about it, so maybe the enthusiasm was conveyed, maybe it wasn't, but I couldn't be any more excited about the idea. I have had FOMO when you guys do Tied in the Eighth because it's a great time and it's tense. It's the fans love it. And I know this would be a little bit different than that, but just, the streaming concept in general. And I don't get to talk ball with Cole. I mean, you and I talk ball 3 times a week. I feel like there's a lot that gets left on the table that we could continue talking about. And I almost never get to talk ball with Coley other than when we're in person together for streams or whatnot. So yeah, I'm very excited about the idea. And I'm ready to go this week on any night. So yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't care what it's called. I just think it's going to be good. And I think it's going to be fun. I mean, trust me, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I think people will be most excited to see you and Coley interact. There's a novelty to it. There's that, but I think it's also just how both of your brains work. I think it'll be a fascinating combination of baseball dialogue. Because Coley, I mean, like the Section 10 guys, yeah, it's a Red Sox podcast, but like specifically Coley and Tyler, like they are like league focused. I mean, they know minor leagues, they know in and out. So it's just, they're, I guess, pigeonholed into being Red Sox guys, but they can hang. So yeah, that'll be really fun to hear you and Coley go back and forth on your ideas and your takes, see what you align on and what you might disagree about, and see where the dialogue goes. Because I mean, I guarantee you we'll be sitting there watching, Dodgers Pirates, but the conversation will go back to like Don Larson somehow, and it'll be great. I can't wait. Yeah, you and I you me and Coley should powwow and figure out what the schedule looks like after sometime this week. But yeah, I'm ready to go. And as far as you said it's almost a shame that it's September and we're doing this. I definitely see where you're coming from. In some ways, like it's extra exciting that it's something we're starting in September because, it's some of the tensest regular season baseball. I hope that we'll watch all season, and it does add like a little bit of a jolt for people who are blessed to cover the sport for 12 months out of the year, essentially to get a new thing to look forward to for September. I think is very cool. So. Yeah. You let me know and I'll be there. I love it. I think we should leave it up to the listeners to name the program. Maybe it's something that happens organically. Maybe something happens on the first time that we run the live and it's like, oh, yep, there it is. That's the name. We'll keep an open mind. But we're not launching with a name. But I am launching with a pick'em today on this Monday, this Labor Day, this holiday. I will have a pick 'em for the fellas, for the women and the fellas. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick 'em game is as simple as just taking my picks. The fact that I would like to see, if my pick'ems need an average of 6 total bases to hit, I want to see, out of all the pick'ems that I've done, how many, the combination of winners or pick'ems that missed by 1 total base. I bet you it's close to 84%. They either win or miss by 1 bag. Something special in the air this year, Jayhay. I'm telling you right now. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy. The promo code is Jared. Okay, so the big story since our last meeting is Mr. Kyle Schwarber. Mr. Kyle Schwarber has hit 4 home runs in a game.
Yep.
And this is a dude that he also this is a dude that came into this year in a contract year, and it's like, all right, well, what are we going to see from Kyle Schwarber this year? How is this man going to put himself into the free agent market? Not the best free agent market for hitters, by the way. So like he's going to be kind of one of the cornerstones of this free agent class coming up. But Kyle Schwarber has 49 home runs. He's driven in 119 runs. It's a 948 OPS. The last time that he finished a season with an OPS over 900 was 2021, which coincidentally was also a contract year. I can't remember the last time I've seen an extension for like an elite player. Like I'm talking about Aroldis Chapman here in late August, early September. So let's just move forward, assuming that there's not going to be an extension for Kyle Schwarber in the month of September. I'm pretty sure he's made it to the point where he's going to go to free agency looking for some money. He'll be going into his age 33 season. Jayhay, what do you think? What do you think a Kyle Schwarber contract looks like if he finishes? I mean, realistically, who's to say he doesn't have a 10 home run month and hits 60 home runs? Like that's on the table. Like Kyle Schwarber 60 is on the table.
Yeah. Yes, it is on the table. What would the contract look like? I think it's a great question. I just think that my answer is going to come off as probably like perceived to be insulting, but I think the market realities and the age factors and all this sort of stuff are going to produce a contract that is, I think, somewhere in between the total value that was received from Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, and somewhere in between the average annual value that those guys received last offseason. Like, I just don't... this is not a $200 million contract. This is, in my opinion, I would be, as we stand here on September 1st, I would be really genuinely surprised if it was a $150 million contract. I just don't... Like, the 60 home runs are awesome, and this is... Kyle Schwarber can be way better than almost anybody thought he was going to be. The Phillies contract can be one of the great recent values in free agency that we've seen for an offensive player, and he could be in the middle of what ends up being the greatest season that he's ever had as a player in his age 32 season. But if we're talking about a guy who is, you know, an offense-only player in his, as you said, age 33 season, which he will be next season, who has the swing and miss and just the fundamental flaws that even this late career Kyle Schwarber has, there's a real cap to what his market even can be. And then you like, so we've been not hyping up, but kind of like anticipating the Pete Alonso free agency market basically from the moment that he signed this offseason. And everybody's been like, oh, well, Pete Alonso did himself, a favor by taking that short-term deal and giving himself access back to the market. As I sit here right now, Jared Carrabis, who would you rather have as a free agent signing, Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber?
Kyle Schwarber. Yeah.
Okay.
There's to me, okay, you're getting first base defense out of Pete Alonso. For Kyle Schwarber, you're getting a DH, but there's no look at the month to month. So that's what I was looking at just now as you were talking.
Yeah.
Because what I want to know his chance at 60. How many 10 home run months has he had? Did he just have one big spike month to get to this 49? Out of the 5 months that he's completed, he's had 10 plus home runs in 3 of them. The last 2 months were his best home run months. 12 in August, 12 in July. As far as slugging percentage goes, April, it was 538. May, 644. June was a little bit of a downward trend. He had 6 home runs. It was a 408 slugging percentage. But then July, 725. August, 598. As we know, Pete Alonso, his season has been, an ascension and a descension. And I haven't really paid attention to what he's done in the last month or so, but there was a steady incline, steady decline, whereas Kyle Schwarber seems to be finishing quite strong. So yeah, that would be the guy that I would go with.
So let's say Bregman opts out. You've got Kyle Tucker, you've got Alex Bregman, you've got Pete Alonso, you've got Kyle Schwarber. You've got the pitching side of things, which includes Framber Valdez, Dylan Cease, Zach Gallen, however attractive you happen to find those 3 people. I mean, Valdez is obviously extremely attractive. So, just thinking about the way money is distributed, and I don't know where you rank Kyle Schwarber in that list of players that I just rattled off. To me, I can definitively say that he is not first for me. And he's probably not second and probably not third. So, because I personally would rather invest my money in Alex Bregman, I'd rather invest my money in Kyle Tucker, and I'd rather, depending on need, I'd rather invest my money in Framber Valdez as well, and maybe additional players that we could talk about in the offseason. But I just don't know that the 4th or 5th best free agent option is going to yield this massive contract. And maybe I'm just arguing with a ghost here because maybe nobody's saying that he's going to get a massive contract. But I feel like when people say 60 homers and people are, Ken Rosenthal is putting out articles about how if Kyle Schwarber wins the NL MVP over Shohei Ohtani, here will be the legitimate reasons why. And it's just I feel like the home run total and the fact that everybody loves Schwarber, and rightfully so, and that his home runs are awesome and majestic, we've sort of lost the plot a little bit with exactly how valuable Kyle Schwarber is in the scheme of all players in Major League Baseball, all players in the NL, how valuable he is relative to Shohei Ohtani. And then lastly, to your initial question, how valuable he would be as a free agent at his age with his career arc and shape of his skills. I don't know. I just feel like we kind of know what the dollar amount is going to be, and it's just not going to. We're not getting to $40 million with Kyle Schwarber. I don't think we're getting to. Dude, come on! You think we're getting to $40 million? So maybe 1 or 2, maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe.
Yes.
But
so I think that a team might kind of look at it with what happened with Bregman, where it's yeah, you're looking for 6 or 7 years. How about 3 years, but we just juice the fuck out of the AAV? I could see him getting 40 million but depending on what he is looking for in terms of a commitment, if he's yeah, I want 6 years, and then teams are gonna be yeah, fuck that, but I'll give you 3 for 120.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. And I think that fits with what I was saying initially, which is that I would be surprised if it's a number that reaches as high as even 150. And I think the total value number will be somewhere between Alonso and what Bregman's could have been if he chooses not to opt out. and I guess 120 fits that. I just there's a dollar and year amount that I feel like a no defense player at his age is just going to max out as. And honestly, like stepping back a little bit, the idea that we're talking about Kyle Schwarber probably, maybe, likely getting the most lucrative contract in total value and average annual value of his entire career, entering his age 33 season is an incredible testament to Kyle Schwarber's career arc and what he's done as a Philly. And after, the journey that we all are very familiar with about the Cubs and the Nationals and the Red Sox and all of that. It's one of the most fun stories of the last 10 years in baseball. I just think that's different than trying to mount an MVP conversation or a $200 million contract conversation for Kyle Schwarber.
It's just crazy that like a 60 home run season is on the table for someone like that.
Yes.
And it's not even, it should be a bigger story. I think it's leading our podcast, but we know ball. I feel like nationally, and I guess just amongst fans that maybe aren't Phillies fans, I don't think it's going to come down to him pushing 60 with like a week to go or something like that for people to be like, oh shit. But just do the math. He's at 49 home runs. He has 3 months of 10 plus home runs of the 5 that he's played. And the last 2 months, he's hit 12 in each of those months. If he hits 12 home runs again, then he will have a 60 home run season. But I think the whole thing about, what was that, 2022? Was judged the 22 season, was that 60 plus?
When he broke the AL record, Roger Maris's record.
Yeah.
Yes, that was 22.
Okay. And that took an MVP away from Shohei that should have just been Shohei's. Do you think if Schwarber hits 60, it's just like, all right, how do we not give it to the guy that hit 60?
Buddy, I will be taking over this podcast from a editorial standpoint if in the offseason, if Kyle Schwarber beats Shohei Ohtani for the MVP, whether he hits 60 or not. Unless like Shohei just stops playing for the rest of the season, and I really hope that doesn't happen. Like, I'm sorry. I like Kyle Schwarber isn't even the next guy in the conversation as far as I'm concerned. He might be among the group, but he's not like he gets to be at the front of the line after Shohei. And I refreshed myself this morning on Shohei versus Schwarber just to make sure I wasn't kind of getting ahead of myself with the things I was going to say. And I just don't understand, other than a fascination with hitting lots of homers and Kyle Schwarber being this, kind of lovable character. Argument? He is lovable, but there is no argument for him as an MVP over Shohei Ohtani. There is zero argument. And it's not like he has double the homers either. It's not like Shohei's having some weird season where he's got 24 homers or something like that. He's got 45. He's got 4 fewer homers than Kyle Schwarber does. And in every other way that you can measure baseball, essentially, he is better than Kyle Schwarber. And in some cases, meaningfully so. And that doesn't factor in any of the pitching. I'm just talking about as an offensive player. So even if you don't want to attribute all that much value to Shohei's pitching so far, which I think would be a mistake, but even if you wanted to kind of nitpick on his contributions, I'm just making this argument from an offensive standpoint. The pitching is gravy in terms of the argument for why Shohei is more valuable than Kyle Schwarber. Like I'm not even convinced that Kyle Schwarber is the most valuable Philly. I'm also not convinced that he's even the most valuable player in his own division outside of the Phillies. Like we're not going to have it right now, but I think you could have a pretty compelling Juan Soto versus Kyle Schwarber conversation on whose season overall has actually been more valuable. I think you could have that same conversation, obviously a different one, with Schwarber and Christopher Sanchez. And that to me kind of starts to poke a lot of holes in Schwarber's MVP case. And while the 60 home runs, or we'll say the 49 through 137 games, are all of the things that I said before in terms of being very, very impressive, and he's been one of the half dozen or so best players in the NL. Like, as an overall offensive player, like, so why is he a more overall valuable offensive player than, let's say, like a Kyle, like a Ketel Marte, or again, a Juan Soto? Like, what is the overall package here that, other than the home runs, that Kyle Schwarber is doing better than those guys? Because they are on a rate value in terms of OPS and advanced stats, very similar to Kyle Schwarber. In terms of that, it's just really the home run number. And Kyle Schwarber may end up as number 2 on my ballot, but he does. His on-base percentage is lower than Juan Soto's. So
yeah, because I mean, I feel like Juan Soto, without looking, I would say the walk totals are similar, but that Soto just has noticeably more hits overall.
I don't have their hit total. Let me see. Hold on. I mean, Soto's batting average is a decent amount. It's 254 compared to 247. That's actually pretty close.
Yeah, it's not that.
Anyway, Schwarber may end up as number 2 on my MVP ballot that I don't have at the end of the season, but if there's no argument for me on him against Shohei specifically, and that's really the one that matters, because I would agree with the general idea that everybody after Shohei Ohtani has left the race wide open in the NL. Like, I don't think there's a super compelling non-Ohtani candidate right now, outside of the people who are making the case for Schwarber because of the homers. There have been guys who have been interesting at different points this season for the MVP. Like we talked about PCA. He's obviously tailed off about as badly as a player can tail off. Kyle Tucker, Soto, all of these people have had fleeting arguments. But we're now at a point where, by pure wins above replacement in the NL, Trey Turner is second to Shohei when you factor in the pitching. And I don't think that anybody has mentioned Trey Turner as an MVP candidate once this season. But It also furthers, I think, the point that I was making before. Trey Turner plays for the Phillies, and that there's even a whiff of a statistical argument for Trey Turner in this conversation, again, suggests that maybe it's not so much Kyle Schwarber that's driving this Phillies team single-handedly, like some people on Twitter have tried to make the case. Maybe it's a really talented team with lots of high-performing individual players, and he is one of those players.
Well, now you've got me interested. Like, never mind the MVP. Like, obviously, Shohei is the MVP in the National League.
We can move on.
Now you've got me interested on this Schwarber versus Soto comparison.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either of them bring much defensive value to their teams.
Agree.
But just looking at it head to head here, it's 600 plate appearances to 610 plate appearances. 254 for Soto, 247 for Schwarber. Call that a wash. The OBP, 394 for Soto, 367 for Schwarber. That's almost like what's Schwarber's career OBP? Let me see. Like, I feel like it's like 367 OBP is fucking amazing, but I feel like it's 346. Okay. 346 career OBP, and his this year is 367. So he's overachieving. A 506 slug, a 500 slugging percentage is like, oh shit. Like, wow, that's great. 506 for Soto, 581 for Schwarber. So it's a 900 OPS to a 948 OPS in favor of Schwarber. The hard hit rate, 56-1 for Soto, 64 for Schwarber. The exit velo, basically the same. 94-2 for Soto, 94-5 for Schwarber. The hits, 122 hits for Soto, 126 for Schwarber.
So
Soto has more singles, 71 to 55. Doubles, 16 for Soto, 20 for Schwarber. Home runs, 35 for Soto, 49 for Schwarber. Extra base hits, 51 for Soto, 71 for Schwarber. Total bases, 297 for Schwarber, 243 for Soto. RBI, 119 for Schwarber, 84 for Soto. Way more strikeouts for Schwarber. The K rate, 26.4% to Soto's 19.3%. And then the walk rate, 18.5% for Soto, 14.6% for Schwarber.
So I'm glad you left two statistics in particular on the table for wee old me, because there was a reason why I picked Juan Soto at the beginning, and that's OPS plus and wins above replacement. They have the exact same OPS plus, 155 this season, and the wins above replacement is so small, the difference, as to be not worth talking about. 4.5 for Soto, 4.4 for Schwarber. And I don't really care who any individual person thinks is more valuable this season. I just think the point is that there's been this groundswell of MVP support for Schwarber, and nobody's having that conversation about Juan Soto. In fact, I think most people would describe his season as underwhelming to a degree, and I know part of that is the contract and the expectations and all of that, but Juan Soto is in the middle of a 35 homer, 26 stolen base season. And I know nobody wants to give Juan Soto credit for the stolen bases, but if it was anybody else, we would be salivating over 35, 26, 900, as an MVP candidate, a sub-Ohtani MVP candidate. So, I think it's an interesting comparison between the two. I just, I know whose skill set I feel a little bit more confident in when push comes to shove. And, I think the Schwarber MVP thing is as much about the void after Ohtani of compelling candidates as it is anything else, because I just think at the end of the day, he's going to be unanimous. Let
me phrase the question to you this way, Jayhay. You have the benefit of hindsight. If you could plug, because I know that people would factor in age. The seasons play out exactly the way that they played out to this point. So age doesn't matter. You can plug 2025 Juan Soto into your lineup or 2025 Kyle Schwarber into your lineup. You can only have one. Which guy are you taking?
I think through the games that we've played right now, I would take 2025 Kyle Schwarber.
Okay.
But
how close is it?
As close as something could be. I think there's something to your argument from 10 minutes ago, or not argument, but the point that you made about the shape of their seasons. And I do think right now that while he has turned it back on recently, that an enormous amount of Juan Soto's contributions are or were concentrated in June. And I think there's something to the idea that Schwarber's have been a little bit more spread out. I just think that if you ask me this question on October 1st, I would anticipate answering Juan Soto.
Okay. That's crazy that it's that close, though. Anyways, it's too bad we didn't have Dallas here.
Always is. Too bad.
It's too bad we didn't have Dallas here, because, man, was he at the forefront of something great that happened in baseball. He had his Don Orsillo moment. I almost want to wait for him to be here to break it down. I almost feel like we're doing an injustice without him being here.
Let's wait.
We'll wait. We'll wait. Yeah, it was great. It was great. That's too bad that Connor's not in front of a live mic. He's behind the scenes, and when they're backstage, the listeners can't hear him. It's too bad that he can't talk about the Rangers sweeping the A's. That's too bad.
It is too bad. And, since the audience can't hear him, I don't want to listen to him just for our own benefit. Right. So we'll just probably have to just skip right along. That sucks,
we'll just have to skip that. Also, the Rangers, what a bunch of dickheads for winning when they should have just lost and then put Merrill Kelly on waivers to see where he would end up. Now he just has to go down with the ship with the Rangers. That sucks. That's selfish. That's selfish of the Rangers to do that.
It is a little selfish. Connor, do you have any thoughts on just very specifically the Rangers' selfishness? No. Oh, yeah? No comment. He went with no comment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is very selfish, if we're being honest about that. Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice. I think if Merrill Kelly ended up on waivers, who do you think claims him? The Mets?
So it goes. The waiver rules haven't changed, right? It's reverse order record of standings in your own league first, correct?
Yes.
So he would have to pass through the entire AL, right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. So then maybe he doesn't make it to the Mets. I didn't know it was a league thing. I thought it was just reverse.
I might be wrong.
Standings.
I might be wrong. Hold on. Let's. MLB waiver.
You are by far smarter than me, so I would say your instincts are probably correct. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, anyway, it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Right? No, they're not. But yeah, it is kind of interesting to see like a player like that. Like they got rid of the waiver deadline to avoid stuff like this happening. But had the Rangers stuck to the script, I do believe that he would have been claimed by some contender as a rental. You'd probably be on the hook for like $1 million, not even at this point. You're talking about a month's worth of salary for a player. But yeah, regardless. Speaking of shit that doesn't really matter, Justin Verlander, would it be worth it if they put him on waivers?
I'm not seeing anything specifically about the league thing, so either I was misunderstood, or that's no longer relevant, or it's just a detail I can't find. But we can move on. I mean, I would have said probably no prior to the outing that he had over the weekend. Like that, I know it's just one start, and he threw 121 pitches. But 10 strikeouts is something that we haven't seen from Justin Verlander all season long. Is there any value to that? You know what? I would say yes, there is. Yes, there is. I think there are
the postseason pitching experience.
Yeah, I think there's some merit to the idea, and I think there are. Listen, the Phillies acquired Walker Buehler, which I don't know if we're going to talk about specifically, but that to me says that there is enough desperation or need for live bodies for even teams that we consider to be kind of rock solid contenders that it's not laughable that Justin Verlander could find a place. Walker Buehler is more than a decade younger than Justin Verlander, 15 years younger than Justin Verlander. So I understand that that's a key difference in maybe a team's view on how they could rehabilitate a guy. And Walker Buehler was an important contributor to a World Series champion as recently as last season. But if we're being fair, Justin Verlander has been better this season. He's been better on a rate perspective, and he's been better on a quantity perspective than Walker Buehler. So I don't think it's a laughable idea that somebody could look at that. I mean, he's got to, say what you want about FIP, and
it's 3.76. Not.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's workable. There's something there. A 4.29 ERA is workable. I would like to see it, actually.
You'd like to see,
because he's not
Verlander
really achieving anything in San Francisco for the rest of the season, right?
No, and I think at this point, like you just never know. Like we saw with CC Sabathia, you never know when it's going to be your last pitch. And instead of auditioning for a new team next year, like I think we can assume that if Justin Verlander were to retire, that we would know in advance. It wouldn't just be like a ride off into the sunset without a goodbye type deal. So yeah, I could see him being someone that gets picked up?
Let's root for it. That's now a new plot line that I'm going to root for, because that would potentially provide a pathway for all three of the old horses to be relevant down the stretch, and or, one can dream in the postseason, because, the Blue Jays are obviously getting in and the Dodgers are obviously getting in. What roles Kershaw and Scherzer play on those teams? Obviously, we've talked about what role Kershaw could play quite a lot on this podcast, but that would be kind of fun. Would it be? It's not the most important storyline of a postseason, but if you and me and DB and Jake and Hosmer and Coley and Steve and everybody are sitting up, I don't want to miss anybody. Tyler and Mike and Jeremy and Corey. Corey. Yeah. I don't want any hurt feelings. Your mom.
Yeah.
If we're all sitting up there and watching during the wild card stream, and Verlander and Kershaw and Scherzer are in some way participating, I think that'll be kind of cool. That would be something I would remember.
What if the Dodgers claim Verlander?
I mean, nobody who's listening wants to hear me say it, but I would love to see that. I mean, why the hell not, right?
Right? Like Verlander and Scherzer have already been teammates in two different organizations. But
That's
Verlander
true.
and Kershaw linking up, that would be something.
Well, and it's not like Verlander and Scherzer are supposedly great friends. So, maybe it's time for the Kershaw Verlander thing to give it a shot.
That is very intriguing to me. Yeah, because I mean, I think, admittedly, once the Giants started to suck, I'd stopped paying attention to them. And I know Giants fans, if they're listening, are probably, you never pay attention to the Giants. You guys never talk about the Giants. I feel like we talk about the Giants when it's worthy enough to talk about the Giants, but they've not been a team worth talking about this year. I think from a pitching standpoint, you had Robbie Ray was an all-star, Logan Webb was an all-star, like that those stories were worth talking about. But I think just because you don't pay attention.
Hold up. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Just because you don't pay attention to a team doesn't mean you don't hear I don't actively seek out Giants news, but you still hear about it when you're diving into your MLB research. And the idea was Justin Verlander was not having a good year. But to what we just pointed out, I mean, even the strikeouts per nine, 8.43, he's basically almost punching out a guy per inning. And I think it's always better if you are finishing strong versus starting off hot and tailing off. But this is a guy that if I were looking for a game 3 starter, a game 4 starter in the playoffs, a guy that that can take the ball and not be intimidated by the big moment, a guy that can give advice to younger pitchers on your staff. Yeah. And I'm sure the Giants don't want to pay whatever they're paying him to finish out the string.
Yeah, I would resist the idea that I think in the offseason, and we talked a lot about the Giants and gave the moves and the buzz and all that sort of stuff, I think adequate shine. I think the problem in terms of conversation about the Giants over the last few seasons has been that they've been an incredibly boring team when the baseball is actually played. They have been 81 and 81, 79 and 83, 80 and 82, and 68 and 69. That's like a dead 500 record, or slightly below over the last 4 seasons since that crazy 2021 season. So that just as an aside. I want to see Verlander in a place that's relevant, and it is just one of the not all time, but just very weird sort of statistical seasons when you factor in that he's 42 years old, that he's been really kind of probably more available in 24 starts and 120 innings pitched than most people would have anticipated. He's got the solid FIP that you talked about, but he's got 3 wins, and it took him until 3.5 months into the season before he'd had a single win on the year. I know we're all on the same page about pitcher wins, but for a guy who's literally moving up the record book for statistical achievements every time he takes the mound. And that, I believe one of his stated goals was 300 wins, or the idea that he could maybe make a run at that. I have to think that obviously that the first, getting your first win by July 23rd after the All-Star break, long sobered him up on the idea of ever getting to 300. But I've said it a bunch on this podcast, but I cannot get enough of the Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer stuff, because this is the last that we're going to get of it. And you said that you would be surprised if it was just an abrupt ending.
Yeah,
I think I would be surprised. I don't think I'd be shocked, because I just wonder if like the nature of pitching to a degree is like you kind of get into the off-season routine, or you wake up and you just can't do it. And like maybe Justin Verlander or Scherzer or Kershaw have eyes on playing more seasons, but that reality will hit come the off-season. And, you wonder like, well, I'm now being offered $8 million to pitch, or whatever the amount is, for somebody who's made hundreds of millions. Is that enough to motivate them? I don't know. I think it gets a little interesting, even though I would like to know in advance that this was the last go. It feels a little bit more complicated sometimes with pitchers like this.
The data is still pulling, but I'm looking up since the start of 2005. So this will include all of their careers. And I turned on regular season and playoffs. Who do you think has more innings pitched? It's got to be Verlander, right?
Between who? I'm sorry.
Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw.
Yes, I would vote Verlander.
It is by a lot. So since 2005, I mean, it's also that, that he has two season like head start. Verlander, 3,763 and a third innings. Then Zach Greinke, who hasn't thrown a big league pitch in a while, 3,357 and a third. Then Scherzer, 3,091 innings. And then Kershaw, 3,025 and a third innings. Yeah. Then Sabathia, then Lester. Wow. That's with playoffs included.
Crazy.
It'd be weird if he wasn't there, Jayhay. Be a weird October without Verlander.
I'm not interested in it.
No, I'm not either. I want him there. Get me Ben Verlander's brother in October.
That's right. That means more Ben Verlander too, and we know how important that is.
I need more Benny Ben in the postseason. It's not October without Ben Verlander. It's not.
I feel like the algorithm has kept him off my radar recently.
You probably just muted him, but
maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's it's about to be Ben-tober, baby. I want him on this fucking podcast. I'm gonna fucking call him right now. I'm calling him right now.
All right.
All right. I'm calling him.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're...
Wow. All right. So then he has his phone on Do Not Disturb.
That's
a little sketch, Ben.
Yeah.
Full sketch.
Rude.
The fuck?
Borderline rude.
Yeah. What do you think he's doing right now? He's probably doing a podcast. I don't ever put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm always available. I actually want to change my phone number. I think too many people have it that shouldn't have it. But to the people that do have it, I'm available.
Yeah, I'm not even, I've never put, or at least I can't recall an instance of putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. Can't do it.
No. Won't do it. Won't do it. Did you watch Payton Tolle's big league debut, Jay?
I did. I watched him and Jonah Tong. I sat down and I took it in, but I watched Tolle for sure.
Is it real?
I thought it was fun. You know, I know you guys were having fun with the look, and rightfully so. It's there's a fun vibe about him. I thought the pitching was just kind of, grindy and electric at the same time, was kind of how I viewed it. I know people were making the comparisons with the left hand and the arm slot and stuff like that, but and I know that the end was kind of left a taste that was something less than perfect, but I think on the whole it was super encouraging. To me, he looked, to the amateur scouting perspective, he looked to me like a guy who can definitely help the Boston Red Sox down the stretch. And I know that the 8 strikeouts were the most by a Red Sox pitcher in his debut since Matt Suzaka quite a long time ago. So yeah, overall, I thought I didn't know much about him prior to when we were up doing the trade deadline stream. You guys brought him up, and I was like, I haven't heard a lot about that name. And so that prompted me to kind of like, all right, so who's this guy that nobody wanted involved and all of this stuff? And fortunately for me and the Red Sox, the turnaround time to getting to see him pitch in the major leagues was almost nothing. So very cool. What were your impressions? I mean, you were in the building, so I probably should have just shut up and let you talk, but what was your...
I want to know, like,
impression?
from an outsider's perspective, because obviously I'm going to be very blinded by my infatuation for Payton Tolle, that, it looks like, did it look every bit of electric as it felt being there? I think I admittedly said the matchup with Paul Skeens added juice to it, no doubt. Like, if he was out there against Mitch Keller, does it feel the same? Probably not. I think the big fight feel of Tolle versus Skeens, I think, like, everyone, because obviously I do work with Nesson and just the networks, and everyone was just like, please, can we get Skeens? Like, that's always like a crazy thing when your team is trying to make the postseason for the first time in half a decade and you have the best pitcher on the planet. Normally, I grew up with the Toronto Blue Jays being in the Red Sox division and Roy Halladay. It's like you would want to miss Roy Halladay, but you kind of don't want to miss Roy Halladay. Like, it's like all right, like he's pitching at Fenway. Like, that's the game that we have to go to. If we have to trade, if we had Friday's game, but he's going Sunday, then we're going to trade our tickets to try and go Sunday. So that's what it felt like was, yeah, of course you don't want to go up against the best pitcher in baseball. That lessens your chances of winning the baseball game, which ultimately was the case. You lost, but the electricity in the ballpark that night of having Tolle versus Skeens, it's been a long time since I felt something like that. It was like, I remember maybe like Beckett versus King Felix. We're going back almost 15 years now, being like, I can't miss that matchup. Beckett versus King Felix. It felt like that.
Well, and, to be a little bit more specific too, I liked than what I was before. Like, I know you need secondary stuff to succeed long-term in the major leagues. And his repertoire was, whatever it was, 5 pitches deep in terms of pitches that he actually threw in the start. But what I was super encouraged by was that he was like, here's my 4-seamer. Like, what can you do with it? And the answer was basically nothing. He threw it 50 times, which was just shy of 60% of his total pitches, which is an extremely high rate. And his whiff rate, again, one start, but his whiff rate with the 4-seamer was 37.5%, which would be far and away the best mark that any starting pitcher has with their 4-seam fastball. It's probably it is an unrealistic mark to maintain. Garrett Crochet, for example, has a 29.9% whiff rate with his 4-seamer in 1,001 4-seamers thrown. So that will come down. But the idea that he was throwing it so often and that the results were so poor for the opposition, and that included so many swings and misses, to me is a fantastic place to start as a pitching prospect. And also, to go back to the original point, to me makes it feel like this is a guy who on some level is going to be able to contribute and not just be, that didn't work. We'll see you next season. It obviously worked.
So what did you say the swing and miss was for the fastball? And this was just for the big league numbers?
Yeah. So swing and miss was 37.5% on just the four-seamer.
Okay. So for, where am I looking here? Oh, I think you can only get data. You can only get data for AAA and the big leagues. So this is 4 starts. So this is like his AAA numbers and his big league start. The swing and miss on the fastball was 33.3%.
Yeah. So even that quote unquote diminished number would be, top of line, top of league stuff for a starting pitcher. And I mean, honestly, even the 37.5% would be top of line for a relief pitcher in terms of four-seamers that have been thrown with any sort of quantity this year. So, yeah, it's funny how quickly these things can change in terms of conversations about how you feel about certain units on certain teams. But with the way Bayo's been pitching and the way Giolito's been pitching over the last couple of months, and the arrival of Tolle, what might have felt like a liability for the first couple of months of the season sure feels like an incredible asset for the Red Sox as we enter September.
Yeah, so he's pitched 97 innings over 4 levels, high A, double A, triple A in the big leagues. And for all of his pitches in those 97 innings this year, in his first pro season, the swing and miss is 39.3%.
That'll play, friend.
That'll do. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah.
Yes. It's good you guys got out of the elevator to see it too.
Yeah, that was tough. That was
good
tough
social content. I saw the numbers were popping though. That's what's important. It's not about your personal discomfort.
And because something like that happens, right now it's at 329,000 views. That's just on Instagram. I think it has like another 200 on Twitter. So half a million people witnessing us being stuck in the elevator. What was great was it's not about the journey. It's about the friends that you make along the way. Isn't it like the destination? I don't know, whatever the phrase is. But the other individuals that were stuck in the elevator with us, they have since seen the video and they've reached out. So now lifelong friends, getting stuck.
They're now part of the podcast network. They're going to be joining us on Wednesday. That's cool.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to be part of our live stream with me, you, and Colin.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
It does seem like I need some better
Friends
help,
from the
though.
elevator. That's the name. That's actually the name of the stream. Yeah.
Yeah. We could all use some better help after that. Yeah. Because
I wasn't even there and I got stressed out, so I could use some better help.
Right. Thank God that Baseball is Dead is sponsored by BetterHelp. Where would we be without BetterHelp? We've all done it before, turning to our barista, hairdresser, or random stranger in the bathroom for life advice. As fun as they are to talk to about everyday topics, when you're looking for help about relationships, anxiety, depression, or other clinical issues, they may not have all the right answers. Instead, get guidance from a credentialed therapist online with BetterHelp. And I can tell you right now, I've been in therapy since 2010, 15 years. 15 years of therapy. But of the online variety since 2020. So 5 years of online therapy. Man, that's a long time. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you, so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and their 10 plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means that they typically get it right the first time. If you aren't happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. Completely online, and you can pause your subscription whenever you need to and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's convenient too. You can join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit your therapy into your busy life. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can help provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/baseball. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/baseball. Big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's podcast. We appreciate you guys. So this was an interesting question that you pose here, Justin Havens. Are the playoff teams already decided? As of this writing, there are 0 teams in Major League Baseball with a percentage to make the postseason between 15% and 85%. So there are a lot of teams that are dead in the water or looking pretty much like a lock to make the postseason. As Fangraphs has provided the odds, the Tigers 99.9%, the Jays 99.8%, the Yankees 98.8%, which seems crazy because they're not good. The Red Sox 94.2%, the Astros 88.2%, and the Mariners 86.7%. Over in the National League, the Brewers 100%. That would mean that they clinched, and they didn't. Dodgers 99.9%, Phillies 99.9%, Cubs 99.7%, Padres 99.3%, and the Mets 92.9%. I think to answer your question, Jayhay, the National League is 1,000,000,000% set. And in the American League, I mean, if the Mariners want to fuck around and collapse and the Rangers want to get hot, which like they're kind of playing better ball lately, I would say that would be the only team that I would grant the ability to make this interesting would be the Texas Rangers, maybe overcoming the Seattle Mariners. But outside of that, I think the entire playoff bracket is set. Did I say anything crazy there?
No, I don't think so. And, we could get some division races. There are a couple, the NL West, AL West, and AL East. They're separated by 3 or fewer games entering play on Monday. But, it was just last week where I think Dallas posed the question of like, why not the Reds, or why are we not giving them a little bit more credence? And I think it was a fair question at the time. I just think the answer was and continues to be that they are 4 games back now, and they are chasing superior teams. And that's a tough formula. It would be one thing if this was a team that we all agreed was one who had underachieved to this point and was actually better than the Mets, Padres, or Cubs. But I don't think anybody here believes that. And so, is it statistically impossible? No. I mean, I think the numbers that I sent and that you cited are maybe a little bit harsh as it relates to, intuitively how I feel about some of the ability to get back in it. Like, specifically the idea that the Rangers have a 14% chance to make it and the Mariners have north of 86%. That doesn't feel quite right when just 2.5 games separate them. And, I know run differential is a thing of the past, but, there's like 60 or 70 runs that separate them in the Rangers' favor. And I know I said I think the Rangers are done. I still think the Rangers are done, but it doesn't feel like 14%, given how the weekend played out, probably reflects their chances. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I think other than that, I think this is the situation that baseball finds itself in. And I just do wonder. I love division races as much as the next guy, and there are some stakes involved in the division races. But if there's no bottom, right? If there's nowhere to fall out of, if the loser is a stone cold lock to make the playoffs, regardless of what happens in the division, I think that takes some of the starch out of how exciting that division race is. You would like for there to be greater stakes than that. And I know that I sound like an old asshole when I say things like this, but And I'm not even saying it's better, but it is times like this where I do miss some of the older era where, you could be a 95, 97, in some cases, a 100 plus win team and miss out on the playoffs. And because you happen to be in a division with a superior team. Again, I'm going to reiterate, I don't think that's necessarily a better thing for the health of the game, but I think it's something we may end up missing down the stretch when there's potential for a lot of these games to lack the drama that they otherwise could.
Yeah, I think to your point, the discrepancy in percentages doesn't sit right with me. Does it sit right with you, Connor? Connor, what do we do? Are you, Connor, napping? It's crazy. Anyways, you did mention Walker Buehler to the Phillies, and this just feels kind of like on the surface, we're down Zach Wheeler. They've already optioned him, which I think is smart. Like, let's figure it out. When the Red Sox put him in the bullpen, he came out with 7 different pitches. It's like you're still operating as a starter in a reliever role, and that's just like, I get not wanting to, to embrace the role as a reliever because you are a starting pitcher, but you were a bad one, so that's why you have to go to the bullpen here. But if you are going to accept your role as a reliever, then you can't be coming out in your 1 inning of work throwing 7 different pitches. Like, pick your best 2 and let it eat and hope for the best, I guess. But with the Phillies, they've optioned Walker Buehler to AAA to work on some stuff and probably figure out some mechanics that were out of whack. And I would say try to narrow down the pitch mix. I would say casting a wider net is not exactly the strongest strategy for someone that has a month to get his shit together before hitting free agency again. And I would imagine $20+ million is not going to be on the table for him this winter if he can't figure it out. But again, he made his money. Like, he was awful last year, but he made his money by having a strong postseason. So that opportunity currently still exists for him in 2025. He could still go out there and be like, I corrected it and, help the Phillies out in a big way in the postseason. So I guess we'll see what happens with Walker Buehler. But what do you got on Buehler to the Phillies, Jayhay?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think 20 million is going to be on the table, maybe even if he figures it out, quote unquote, for the postseason. But yeah, I like the move for what it is. I think Dombrowski's comments in the wake of the signing are both throwaway and also they revealed something to me. He said, we're excited to have him because we think he makes us better. We're trying to do anything we can to qualify for the postseason. And then if we make it, to do anything we can to win. I think that's something you say when you sign a guy with, pride and a real track record like Walker Buehler. I also think that there's probably some real urgency and some real tension inside Phillies HQ that we've been talking about on this podcast about the state of the rotation and the quantity of arms that they have to make it through this whole thing. And I'm not particularly optimistic that they're going to figure things out with Walker Buehler, but they have a plan. Like you said, they are sending him to Lehigh Valley. It sounds like he's going to make 1 start and then come up for the Phillies to start on September 12th against the Royals. So he knows when he's starting. He knows who it's against. And he has quite a long runway, including the start for Lehigh, to get in, not an enormous runway, but he's got 1 start to focus on essentially at the major league level. And given what we know about the Royals offense this season, that seems to be, and he's pitching at home. This seems to be the perfect opportunity for Walker Buehler to demonstrate that he can be part of a meaningful contribution for the Phillies. And if he can't, there's no harm done for the Phils. And, in contrast to what we said about Justin Verlander, that Walker Buehler simultaneously feels like he's been around forever and also is still, not old. He's 31 years old, which is not an unsalvageable age for a pitcher. But, we're also reaching a point where it's both early and late at the same time, I feel like, for Walker Buehler, because we're he's only 30, 31 years old, but we're also now 4 years removed from the last time that he was like a sustainable asset for a team over the long haul, other than, the brief moment last postseason. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but they have a plan. Whether it works, we will find out in 11 days.
Yeah. Out of the news and notes section, does anything call to you?
Can I just say, lastly, that it's really, really hard to succeed. We were talking about Tolle and the four-seamer. Like, batters have hit the 316 that batters are hitting off of Buehler's four-seamer this season is the best mark that he's put up in any season since 2022 with the pitch. And that's obviously a bad mark. So, like, it's just a really hard formula to succeed with the diminished velocity that he's had. And still trying to figure out the repertoire overall. So, again, I think it's exciting when a team gets a hold of a new player and a guy who's maybe not completely toast and they're able to see what they can do with him. But he was really bad and has been bad for a pretty prolonged period of time. News and notes. Is there anything specifically?
The Bogarts injury.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one for sure. I mean, I would, yeah. It's tough because their offense, it's not like they have an enormous amount of offensive depth to work with, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't want to overstate like Xander Bogaerts and what he was doing this season, but it was a competent level of play, and there's some real value to that. Like, I think Jose Iglesias is probably going to get the majority of the time, right? In his absence, or am I misunderstanding that?
No, I mean,
I think Iglesias. Yeah, I think he'll be the default winner there. I know that he was kind of a folk hero last season. I would take the under on Jose Iglesias providing Xander Bogaerts' triple slash line in the time that he contributes. So yeah, end of the world, no. Net loss, in my estimation, yes. And they can't afford net losses when they're chasing.
The free agent list. The free agent list for this winter. Like, who, now that Aroldis Chapman is off the board, who's the best free agent reliever?
I had it up earlier. Hold on. It is.
Like MLB traded.
Well, Clase is obviously that's not going to be in the mix. Yeah, so it's like Brian Abreu, Jason Adam, Bednar. I mean, there's
Devin Williams.
There's interest. Yeah.
Not high on Devin Williams.
That.
You don't think that if Devin Williams signs with any other team but the Yankees that he'll look like Devin Williams again?
It's just fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because like I know the Brewers got rid of him for payroll purposes, but it's not like he was exactly the same guy when they shipped him out either, and they're among the smartest teams in the league. So no, I don't think I think he's among the more interesting, and I'd love to get my hands on him. I just, the Devin Williams conversation was like, is he going to get the Josh Hader contract? And that's probably a non-starter at this point.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, I don't think he reaches the $100 million mark.
Other news and notes. No, I don't think there was, tip of the cap to Carlos Santana. I know that the Cubs inked him up. Guardians obviously sent him packing, mutual decision. I got nothing but love for Carlos Santana as a player. One of my recent favorite Cleveland players. But, an entirely predictable and very frustrating end to a transaction sequence that was always going to fail for Cleveland on the baseball field. And his designation is just kind of the end on that. We can move on, but what were your quick thoughts on the Chapman I mean, that deal obviously this year has been a home run. So I'm assuming you're happy that he's coming back and will be part of the bullpen for 26 when you plan on competing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, I think the money's right. I think the way that it's structured, I mean, it's basically a 2-year deal because I think if he hits 40 innings, then the option vests for 2027. So, yeah, it's nice to have a closer, and I think we've seen what it looks like to not have a closer. It's something that you can't just throw it together on the fly. Like you need that guy, especially if you're going to make a run in the postseason. Which I know Chapman's had his struggles in the postseason, but you kind of have to worry about that problem when you get there. The Red Sox haven't gotten there in the last 4 years. So as far as getting there, yeah, he's been a big part of the reason why this team is almost a lock to get there for the first time since 2021. And yeah, it's just it's a win for both sides, I would say. And again, like my first initial reaction was, wow, like an extension in late August. You just don't see that. I'm not familiar with that as like a league thing, as a Red Sox thing. Usually if you are especially having like the best season of your career, I understand his age is a factor in this. He has won multiple World Series now, and he's made his money. I think now it's just a matter of like, where do I want to finish this thing out? And if he really likes it in Boston, I know that he was like a big Louis Tiant fan. Like he comes out with the Louis Tiant tribute as part of his entrance. Maybe he just likes it here. I don't know, but it seems like it's a fit for both sides. Makes sense. Sign the contract.
Another Breslow win.
Yeah. Do you have any award-winning Nuggs today, Jay? Why did I just say it like
buddy,
that?
I've got both award-winning Nuggs generally and end of August Nuggs specifically. So let's get to it. Firstly, some random shit from over the weekend. Yoendrys Gomez, if you missed this, and you probably did, he's the fourth pitcher in the wild card era to have an outing featuring at least 6 strikeouts, 6 walks, 5 runs, but no more than 2 hits, joining probably the least surprising name you were going to find, Edinson Volquez in 2013, Kerry Wood in 2002, and Mike Remlinger in 1998. Cabrian Hayes, he hit 2 homers in 100 games with the Pirates this year. It took him 26 games to reach 3 homers with the Reds. Jazz Chisholm over the weekend reached the 25 homer, 25 stolen base arbitrary mark. He becomes the 7th instance of a Yankees player having a 25 homer, 25 stolen base season in franchise history, and the first since the Grandy Man, Curtis Granderson, in 2011. The only player in Yankees franchise history to have multiple such seasons is Alfonso Soriano, who did it in back-to-back years in 02 and 03. Speaking of that, this is hot and fresh Nugget research during the podcast. This 2025 is the first season since 1986 where multiple New York players have produced seasons with 25 homers and 25 stolen bases in the same season. We're up to 3 New York based players to do that this year. Jazz, as previously mentioned, and both Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor for the Mets. In 1986, it was Darryl Strawberry and Ricky Henderson. I noted last week when Oswald Peraza and Jack Kohanowitz combined to contribute just an incredibly awful combined line. That happened again over the weekend with Yuri Perez, Tyler Zuber, and Javier Sanoja. They combined to give up 18 runs in 2 2/3 innings pitched. That included 5 homers and 1 measly strikeout. So I know this is not how stats works, and this is totally meaningless as far as a nug goes. But in terms of just cover your eyes awful pitching, that means that Kohanowitz, Peraza, Perez, Zuber, and Sanoja combined to allow 37 runs in 6 1/3 innings pitched in 2 separate games this week. That feels like legitimately if you and I went out there and pitched. Like, that's just fucking crazy. I brought up Juan Soto earlier. It's not the last time I'll do that. He's the third player in Mets franchise history to have a season with 35 homers and 25 stolen bases, joining Hojo Howard Johnson, who did so 3 times in 87, 89, and 91, and Darryl Strawberry, who did it in back-to-back years in 87 and 88. Juan Soto over the weekend also had, 4 homers, very impressive. I believe we're up to now 21 players in Major League Baseball history who have done that. Would you believe that that's the exact same number of players who have ever produced a 2-homer, 2 stolen base game, which is what Juan Soto did over the weekend? He's also the 4th instance of a player ever to have 2 homers, 2 stolen bases, and 2 walks in a game. The only instances of that, it's a random list, friends. It was Soto, Jason Hayward in 2019, Ender Inciarte in 2017, and the aforementioned Howard Johnson in 1987.
Hojo.
That's right. Chris Sale, he returned, which means that his last 10, it was another nice start, which means his last 10 starts were up to a 1.21 ERA and 87 strikeouts and 67 innings pitched. The man still has it. Juan Soto has set the record for the most walks ever by a Mets player in August. So congrats again to him. Pete Crow Armstrong, update on his struggles. His OPS in the month of August is the lowest among qualified batters. Also, his weighted runs created plus, if you prefer more advanced stats. His current OPS is the lowest that has been since late April, and he's hitting just above 100 against fastballs, or did hit 100 against fastballs in August. So tough scene there. We were talking about the ebb and flow of seasons earlier with Schwarber and a little bit with Soto. If you look at Pete Crow Armstrong's NL batter F4 ranks by month this season, he's gone tied for 4th, tied for 3rd, tied for 14th, 3rd, and 87th in August. One of the harshest regressions to the mean, all coming at the same time that I can remember for Pete Crow Armstrong. A lot of Schadenfreude about that too, from mostly Mets fans who are now getting in the mentions and talking about how that trade doesn't suck ass. Continuing on, though, in some August specific tweets, Trevor Rogers, he wrapped up August with a 1.29 ERA. That is the 6th lowest ERA by a left-handed pitcher in August in the wild card era, minimum 40 innings pitched. Behind, it's a great list. This is just a walk through memory lane for you and me. Barry Zito in 01, Don Trell in 05, Johan in 03, CC in 08, and Randy Johnson in 1998. That's the list that Trevor Rogers belongs to. That 1.29 ERA is also the lowest in a single August by an Orioles pitcher, regardless of what hand they throw with, since Mike Mussina in 1995 when he posted a 1.15 ERA. This one's for you. Clayton Kershaw is the 5th left-handed pitcher in his age 37 season or older to post a sub-2 ERA in August in the wild card era in at least 25 innings pitched, joining Kenny Rogers in 06, so he's the first one to do so in 19 years, Tom Glavine in 03, and then both Randy Johnson and Jamie Moyer in 2001. Freddie Peralta, not sure if people realized, I'm sure Brewers fans did, he finished August with a 0.32 ERA. That's the lowest ERA in August by a pitcher in at least 25 innings pitched, not just for Brewers pitchers, but any pitcher, since Corey Lytle posted a 0.20 ERA in 2002. The only other instances of an ERA below 0.50 in August in at least 25 innings pitched in the wild card era are Cliff Lee in 2011 and both Matt Harvey and Jake Arrieta in 2015. A little bit of a weird month for Christopher Sanchez in terms of results, but what he did do was strike batters out, and what he did not do was allow homers. In terms of 40 or more strikeouts and 0 homers allowed in August in the wild card era, that list, great list again. Congrats to me on some of these lists. Roger Clemens, 1998, Brandon Webb in 2003, Tim Lincecum in 2008, Mad Bum in 2015, Arrieta again in 15, Zach Gallen in 22, Sale last year, and Sanchez this year. Very niche note. Brandon Pfaadt is the first Diamondbacks pitcher to allow 45 or more hits. I know everybody was waiting for this one in the month of August since 2010, when both Rodrigo Lopez and Joe Saunders did so. Tough month to be a Diamondbacks fan, August of 2010. Carlos Rodon is the first Yankees pitcher in 30 years. David Cone in 1995 to have an August that featured at least 30 strikeouts and at least 20 walks. Let me just hate a little bit more on Kyle Schwarber. There have been 40 instances of a batter having 12 or more homers and 30 or more RBI in August in Major League Baseball history. 40. The highest and lowest OPS marks of those 40. The highest are Sammy Sosa in 01 at 1405, Rudy York in 1937, and Travis Hafner in 2006. The three lowest, Sammy Sosa again in 1995. Funny how this works sometimes. Schwarber this year at 916, and Bobby Bonds in 1977 at 906. And then lastly, we'll wrap up with my Nug du jour, Juan Soto yet again. What an August he had. So it's not just June anymore, folks. August is in the books now for Juan Soto. He's the third player in Major League Baseball history to have double-digit homers and steals in the month of August, joining Shohei last season and Carlos Beltran in 2004. If you tweak the search a little bit to be 10 homers, 10 stolen bases, and a 1,000 OPS, and you look at just any month, not just August, the only instances of what Juan Soto just did are 1987 Eric Davis and 2001 Ryan Klesko in May, 1999 Jeff Bagwell in July, and Ohtani last year, Acuna in 23, and Dale Murphy in 1983 in September and October. So 10 homers, 10 stolen bases, and a 1,000 OPS. Juan Soto just did that. Very, very rare month in August or in any month in baseball history. And those are the Nugs.
I have an update. Ben Verlander texted me. He was recording his podcast, so that's why he didn't answer. I didn't know that if you, I mean, I'm assuming, yeah, like if you put on Do Not Disturb, you'll at least be notified that somebody called. But yeah,
would have gotten more listens
recording.
if you would have hopped on this pod.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
that's a mistake.
I don't know. Maybe
that's bad producing.
Maybe on Wednesday we can continue our Justin Verlander discourse with featuring Ben Verlander. Maybe on Wednesday.
Doors open.
As it mostly always is around here, Jayhay.
Can't remember the last time we closed a door on a potential guest, except for Bob Tewksbury.
Never invited back. Yeah, never invited back.
No, and I'm sorry. I know Bob listens, but if he's listening, it's like nothing personal, man. But just not. We're not going to do
No,
it.
it is personal with me.
Oh yeah, it is personal. That's right. It's actually the definition of.
Yeah, it couldn't be more personal.
That's what it is. It's personal, not personal.
Bob is more than welcome to listen to the pod.
Encouraged.
Happy to have him listen. But as far as participating with the show, no. It's a no.
It's probably pretty fun for him to listen to every episode and know that like once every couple of months he's going to get mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. Well, shout out to Bob, man. Shout him out.
Yep.
All right. Final thought.
Final thought. Yeah, I mean, opening up with some interesting series this week. Phillies, Brewers, Mets, Tigers, Blue Jays, Reds. The last one maybe a bit of a stretch, but the Reds not dead yet. But specifically on Tuesday, I'm hoping that the schedule somehow reshuffles a little bit or something, because right now for this Dodgers Pirates series, you've got Kershaw, Ohtani, and Skeens all lined up to pitch, but none of them in the same game. So, it'll be cool regardless, because we'll get Ohtani, Skeens, and that's appointment television as far as I'm concerned. But it would be cool if there was. I don't think Kershaw Skeens is possible from a head-to-head, but if Ohtani and Skeens could somehow go head-to-head both on the mound and in the batter's box in the same game, wow.
Wow.
Wow. Might have to go to Pittsburgh for that.
You know, I've been meaning to go there for a little bit now. It's been a while. So it's been 10 years. 11 years. 2014 I went there because I just couldn't miss the major league debut of Rusney Castillo. We fucking had to be there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, drove all the way to Pittsburgh for it.
I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
They still got Rusney down in is he still on that contract where they can't bring him up?
He'll be there. He'll be there until the day.
Is that honestly still going on? Is that contract still active?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say that seems a little
they didn't
surprising.
sign him to a 12-year contract. Yeah, no. I don't know where he is. I hope he's happy wherever he is.
Yeah. I mean, he made a lot of money. Hopefully he's still got it. And yeah, shout out to Rusney.
Shout him out. All right. We'll be back on Wednesday with hopefully Dallas Braden. And we'll be able to break down all the news and notes. And we'll keep you posted. Stay tuned to any of our social media. We'll make it I'm saying we'll probably aim for Thursday this week because I have Nesson Tuesday. Okay. So we'll shoot for Wednesday, Thursday this week to be able to do the streaming with Tolle and Jayhay, and I'm very excited for it. So, all right, we'll see you then.
We gone.